You're listening to the Fantasy Football Podcast with Charles Barr and John Chapman.
All right, here we go. Episode 13, and a lot has happened. First of all, I think we just need to address right out of the gate that you had red pepper crushed in your mouth.
Oh,
we
man.
Need to talk about. Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us about that.
The wonderful bet that we made on Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson being fantasy dominant, like I thought they would. I really thought they'd show out and it would make a difference. They did not. They left me high and dry, and it was fun, though, man. Not going to lie, as soon as I cut the video off, if you haven't seen the video, it's on my Twitter page, or you can just look up Fantasy Lost Bet. It's on our YouTube page. It's on you can watch it. It was pretty fun. The next 2 days were pretty rough in the bathroom.
Yeah.
In the bathroom was rough.
How about, though, a special somebody liking in our tweet, or your tweet, rather?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. You know, Matthew Berry reached out. I think that he just kind of enjoyed the spectacle much more than anything. But it's always nice to get notoriety from somebody that you look up to. That was really, really cool. He put that out there. So appreciate it.
That's awesome.
TMR, I know you're definitely he listens to every podcast. You know, we
Sure.
talk all the time, and you know,
Major fan.
pen pals, that's important. So he says I'm his inspiration.
Oh, dang it. You took my line. Anyways, I was going to say that. A lot has happened this week besides John's, videos and the tweets between him and Barry. What has happened is that there's been a slew of injuries, which we're going to get into.
It's been bad.
And
it's been bad for tight ends in particular.
yeah, let's go there first. I mean, right out the gate, Greg Olson, what is going to be the deal with this guy this season?
Man, so he is put on IR. Oh, so sad. He's on IR. He broke his foot, and this is rough because he was already the very first tight end to have 3 years in a row 1,000 yards receiving, and he was going for his fourth year, which was so cool. That was kind of his goal, and it didn't work out. And so, man, such a bummer. Such an awesome guy, just a really cool player, and yeah, he broke his foot, and he's out. And this means a lot for Devin Funchess, which is so gross to even say. And what I mean by that, I'm not saying go out and spend your entire fab budget on this guy or make him your number one priority. But if you are stuck and in a pinch, man, pick this guy up. He's going to be a solid flex play because he fills that exact same role. I'm actually putting an article out right now for Eat Sleep Fantasy where I'm only allowed to pick up players that are less than 20% owned in league. So it's like extreme waiver wires. And I'm going with him as my wide receiver. So I think he's going to be a viable play. Not going to win you leagues, but if you have a really rough situation and you don't want to start Des Bryant versus Patrick Peterson, which I would not do. I would not start him against Patrick Peterson. Just slide him in there.
Let's be honest. That guy was born to be a tight end, but couldn't block.
Yeah.
So the other guy
he's probably born to be a defensive lineman, to be honest with you.
Seriously, he's massive. Another guy, though, who's a little bit predictable, Jordan Reed. But it's not his concussion. It's not his head.
That's all that we really need to worry about is his head.
Yeah.
Because once he gets a concussion, he's probably done forever. But Jordan Reed's just going to be hurt. This is just who he is. And while he's somewhat okay, I think he went to the locker room twice in the game this Sunday. So while he's somewhat okay, you got to keep him in your lineup. You just got to. Now, when he goes out, Vernon Davis is an immediate tight end one. So just keep that in mind.
Well, and two, I just got to pat us on the back real quick that there's actually a few predictions I'm going to mention today that you got right. Actually, I'll just go ahead and say it now. I'm going to say one right now. Bubba Watson. If you listen to our podcasts week in and week out, which that's nobody. That's like three people.
That's right. Welcome, Bar
Family. Two of those people are us. Right, exactly. Welcome, Bar Family, today. Yeah, no, you know that John has referenced that Bubba Watson would be a guy to look out for, and he had 8 catches, 12 targets, and again, that is a massive steal off of the waiver wire.
And so, and here's the deal: it all has to do with what you want out of your fantasy team. I don't care about quarterbacks, and I don't care about tight ends, defense, or kickers. Don't care about those things. So I'm loading up on all running backs and wide receivers. And what I want from the quarterback and tight end position is to not make me lose. So like this incident, for instance, I started Charles Clay this week. He cost me. He cost me big time in a major money
against
league.
me.
Yeah.
Against me.
That is factually correct. Okay. Charles Barr pulled my pants down and did unspeakable things to my fantasy team. And that's
we can talk about it.
It's all right.
But not on air.
I can't look in the mirror. But here's what I want. I want to not lose because of the tight end position. I want consistency. And that's who Bubba Watson is. And so he's going to be a guy that's going to have 7 catches for 70 yards. No problem with that from the tight end. What I don't want is goose eggs. I want consistency. I'm not going to win because of him, but I'm not going to lose because of him. I'm going to win because my running backs and receivers are awesome, except for David Johnson, who has hurt my feelings.
Yeah, he hurt a lot of people's feelings. But speaking of goose eggs and guys who are totally killing me in 2 of my leagues, just one guy, Tyler Eifert. Eifert, whatever. He's not worth to pronounce his name correctly right now, to be perfectly honest with you.
He could not correct you even if he wanted to. And here's the sad thing. Not only does he have a back injury, which is a big deal, he also has a knee injury now. So you are talking about a guy that has been more injury prone than Gronk, and he has 2 injuries in 2 weeks and has not been productive whatsoever. So you've just got to understand this is not so much that you want to drop him yet, but he's pretty much
tradable.
Who the hell is going to trade for a guy with 4 catches for 46 yards over 2 games? And now he's injured.
I would say a guy who had Andy Dalton on his bench, but let's be honest, Andy Dalton is on nobody's bench.
I kind of like Andy Dalton this week.
Ugh, get out!
I can't quit you.
Let's move on in your addiction to redheads.
I do. The Daywalker.
Your internet history is full of that. Okay. Next up is Jimmy Graham. A guy who I love, but I tell you what, the Seahawks have not been able to put it together this year, and that kills Doug Baldwin fantasy value, especially for where his ADP was, and it kills Jimmy Graham's fantasy value, especially where his ADP was. Talk about about the future of Jimmy Graham.
I don't know if there really is one. He's been descending, and he hasn't really done much. Here's the thing. He got hurt pretty early in that Niners game, and I actually thought it was his knee, but he hasn't really done much. And it turns out that it's his ankle, but we don't know how long he's going to be out. And so there's a chance that he could play, but again, you're talking about a guy that got 2 targets, 1 catch for 1 yard. Like, this is not a fantasy option right now, especially in that offense. It is terrible. The Seattle Seahawks are basically unfantasy worthy. You have Russell Wilson there, who has not been great, and Chris Carson is looking like somebody that might get a lot of volume, but it's bad. Even Doug Baldwin has not performed well.
No, and Doug Baldwin was a very effective fantasy receiver last year.
Last 2 years. He was top 10 the past 2 years in fantasy points. And so he's very consistent. Now I'm looking for him to have a huge bounce-back game this week. Let's see where I have him. I have him very, very high, actually. I have him as my number 7 wide receiver this week. So just something to keep in mind.
Keep in mind. All right, moving on from the tight ends, let's talk about a guy who used to be an Eagle, who used to be a Ram, who used to be on a very terrible team called the Sooners. Okay, Sam Bradford.
Jesus. Poor Sam Bradford. This guy just cannot stay healthy. I don't understand. Did you see the video where he went to warm up?
No, I didn't see that.
So that they send him out there, and he basically stands in shotgun. They throw him the ball. He does like 1 step backwards to throw it and just looked at the coach and shook his head, and that was it. He was just like, nope, it's not happening.
But what you didn't know before is that he asked him if he wanted to go out for dinner later, and then he said, I'll think about it, and then he looked at him and he just shook his head.
Well, that's really nice of him. At least he considered it. But no,
miscommunication on your part.
And so I'm talking about Sam Bradford not for Sam Bradford's sake. He's not really a guy that you want to roll with, even though he had a great week 1. But without him, you have Case Keenum, who should not be in the NFL. But he's a nice guy, and he works really, really hard, and his wife is nice. personality-wise. She has a nice personality. Let me just say that. But that's about it, though. But the idea is this. He cripples everybody's fantasy value. Thielen, Diggs, Cook. The only person he doesn't hurt is Kyle Rudolph. Kyle Rudolph is basically quarterback matchup proof. The offense is built to check down to him on almost every single passing play. But if Sam Bradford's not playing, get almost every single person out of your lineup, and that's including Dalvin Cook. He was awful.
That's killing me. It's killing me. I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right, moving on. Corey Coleman broke his thumb, which begs the question, how much do you need a thumb?
Well, he broke his hand last year, and so he's 2 for 2, man. He is out. But to be honest with you, there is now somebody in Cleveland that is much more fantasy valuable, and that's Higgins, man. He was on a practice squad last week. And now this guy, he is already, so they released their depth chart today. He is already the projected starter next to Kenny Britt.
And Kenny Britt's been MIA.
He has.
Which is,
Kenny Britt's
hard to believe.
Terrible, man. So Kenny Britt's stats, 2 targets, just a little bit better than Jimmy Graham. 2 targets, 1 catch, 2 yards. So technically it's over 100% better. But Rashard Higgins, he had 11 targets, 7 catches, 95 yards. That's with Kevin Hogan and Desean Kaiser throwing you the damn ball.
Yeah, it's pretty significant, and if that keeps up, he's going to carry some of these squads, especially with a lot of these injuries.
Oh, and real quick, we got to talk about Desean Kaiser, maybe the worst quarterback performance ever. He said he was having migraines. It was awful. 3 interceptions, 2 sacks. The dude was less than 50% completion percentage, had a fumble. I mean, the guy just was terrible.
Yeah, my wife gets migraines too when she doesn't want to do something, but whatever.
Play for the Browns?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good would you rather. Would you rather be quarterback for the Browns or not saying the other one?
Yeah, I know. All right, man.
It was implied subtly, but thanks for letting everybody know what we're talking about there.
Yes. Next up, and perfect segue, Jordy Nelson has a quad issue, and now
hashtag sad.
Hashtag sad, hashtag here we go again, hashtag Davante Adams back on the squad.
Now here's what's crazy. I went back and looked over all my drafts. The player I own the most of is freaking guess who? I wouldn't even guessed it. It's what's his name? Who you just said? The name's just out of my brain. Thank you, Davante Adams, who balled out. 8 catches, 99 yards and a touchdown, and he got tackled on the 1-yard line. He would have had over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I mean, the guy, and that's the thing. Jordy Nelson's not the only one that's injured. You have Randall Cobb, who also is injured as well. Now they're saying that he's probably going to play. And Jordy Nelson is a 50-50. But I'm telling you right now, Davante Adams, get him in your lineups in every single way possible. I have Davante Adams as my number 10 wide receiver this week in my rankings. The guy, he's Aaron Rodgers' primary target. So
he is,
and he's looked good. He's looked really good.
He's looked good. Again, my only issue with Adams ever is just when Jordy's in the game. I don't like him as a wide receiver too. I like him more as a flex. I don't really trust him when Jordy's in the game.
And if you have him as a flex, that's beautiful. Like, you got a solid team because he's going to get the targets and the yards, and he has the crazy touchdown upside. Last year, he scored 12 touchdowns. So
yeah. Next up is really a reminder to you of a bet you're going to lose. Andrew Luck is already ruled out for week 3. It's not looking hot.
It's looking like I was wrong. Sadness is inside of me. But that's okay. And here's the thing. I went out in a couple leagues and sent out some trade offers for Frank Gore and for T.Y. Hilton. And so those owners are super, super sad, and you get them on the cheap. Now, you don't really want to start them unless you have to right now, but you're just saying, hey, 3 to 4 weeks from now, it's going to be worth it. And that's kind of what you're hoping for.
That is a really good strategy.
But having said that, Jacoby Brissett, it was functional. They almost won the game. It went into overtime. And so, we'll see. And a lot of people had Marlon Mack as like this huge ad after week 1 and all this stuff.
Yeah,
he scored 2 touchdowns. He was awful. He had 6 attempts for -3 yards. That is Reggie Bush numbers.
I don't get it. Watch him run. Watch him run in the preseason. He never looked good. I didn't understand that ever.
Week 1 he did. Now Frank Gore, and this is going to let you know about Frank Gore. When they're close and the games are competitive, Frank Gore's the guy. Whenever the games are out of control, either way, whether the Colts are up, which probably will never happen, or the Colts are down, Frank Gore's resting. They are only keeping that guy in the game, which is rough because if you think the Colts are going to be blown out, get Frank Gore out of your lineup. But if you think it's going to be close, get that guy in because he looked great. His yards per carry are never going to be great in this offense, but goal line work and targets, and that's all you can ask for.
So another old guy having some injury issues, DeMarco Murray. What are we going to do about him?
He's got a hamstring. He's not the only one on that team with a hamstring either. Corey Davis left early in the game with a hamstring issue. And it's they got to get over this. Hamstring issues, you can fix that. Be hydrated and stretch. But having said that, Derrick Henry freaking showed out. 14 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. Absolutely looked amazing. This week, you just got to pay attention. Now, the coaching staff has reiterated DeMarco Murray is their guy. He's going to be the lead rusher if he is healthy. So you just got to kind of see what's going to happen. If DeMarco Murray's out, bump Derrick Henry all the way up.
Here's the problem really quickly, and I got 2 things to say about this. First is the issue is with Derrick Henry is he is absolutely a superb and a better athlete overall, I think. I guess in terms of crushing the rock. But DeMarco Murray provides so much more versatility. They put him out on bubble screens. He just can do more than Derrick Henry at this point. So it's not like a passing of the torch because you really don't see Derrick Henry able to be as diverse as DeMarco. And the second thing I'm going to say is I kind of have some bold predictions for this week, and here's the first.
Ooh.
I predict the Titans win, and I predict a statement game for Mariota. I think it's kind of like late enough in his career.
So so everybody knows, Tennessee is playing Seattle. Seattle is traveling to Tennessee this week.
Yes, sorry. So against one of the premier defenses in the league, definitely either 1 or 2 top secondaries.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Mariota, number 1, is going to scramble for, I want to say, over 60, 70 yards.
I like it.
I think he's going to throw for over 300 yards. I'm looking at 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and I think that they're going to win the game.
I like it. And I like Tennessee, man. They're a solid team. They're just a really good team.
Yeah. So that's one of my bold predictions. And again, getting back to the original topic, what do you do, though, with DeMarco? Do you hold on? Do you look for trades?
So I've tried to trade for him. The problem is people drafted him so high. You got him in late first, early second, and people are still holding on to the thought. But no, I'm attacking everything that I can. Like if I had what's his name? Who's the backup running back we just freaking brought up? Goodness. Derrick Henry. If I had Derrick Henry, I'm offering Derrick Henry for DeMarco Murray straight up. I am doing everything I can to buy low. That's what I do. So here's the deal. Here's how you win fantasy football. You buy low and you sell high. You never react to fear. You never react to panic. You try to get other people to react to those things. And whenever you can do that, you maximize value. It's like stock trading or something. It's the exact same concept.
Sounds like war, too.
It killed them all. I do believe that. Exactly. I do believe that.
And do not react to fear. Okay. Good news out of this sludge of a news report. Will Fuller has returned to practice from his collarbone.
Yeah, this is huge. Not so much for Will Fuller. He's not a guy you really want, but he's going to open up that offense. He's going to help DeAndre Hopkins because Will Fuller just runs go routes the entire time. He's going to help Lamar Miller and Deontay Foreman, and he's going to help Deshaun Watson. So this offense is going to actually be so much respectable, a little bit more respectable now. So that's great news. It's hard to find good news with injuries, but this is one of those.
So last week we told you to stay away from Buck Allen, but we could not predict an injury.
Man, and that's the thing. Last week I even said if somebody's telling you to pick up Buck Allen over Terrence West, they're an idiot. Don't listen to them. And we were right. If you look at the first quarter, I mean, it was 100% Terrence West until he got injured. And once he got injured, then the Buck Allen show began. And Buck Allen, he's a solid ad, and if you got him, start him. That's great. But I'm telling you right now, Terrence West is the guy there. Hopefully this injury does not keep him out very long. But he looked great in those first 2 drives.
Yeah. I got another bold prediction.
Oh, what's up? Keep bringing the heat.
Here's my bold prediction. I think the Browns defense is going to show out against the Colts. I think that run defense is more serious than what people are letting on. I don't think that what happened in Pittsburgh was a fluke. And I think that Colts offense is weak enough for that secondary to contain. I'm looking under 10 points for the Colts, and I'm looking for probably over 20 points for the Browns.
All right. I'm okay with it. Now, here's the thing. Right now, their defense, the Browns defense, is basically average at everything. They're 19th against the pass, and they're 13th against the run. So they're decent. And they have the number 1 pick on the sidelines. I doubt he's going to play this week, maybe situationally. But next week, I think he'll be back. The talent is there. They're just very, very young. And it's a very aggressive defense. So hopefully they can keep going. And, man, the Colts. Oh, man, the Colts. They're just bad.
It's JV. And then one last bold prediction from a very biased Eagles fan. You know, whenever teams come off 0-2 and you know they got talent, you worry. I think the Giants fall to the Eagles at home. I think they haven't faced a pass rush like this. They're about to learn what a pass rush is. Although if OBJ is 100%, obviously that's going to spell problems, but I still like the Eagles at home.
I do too. That offensive line is very, very bad. And Ben McAdoo came out and talked about how Eric Flowers is their starting left tackle. Which, did you hear about Beckham in the locker room? They got in a fist fight. So Odell Beckham and the left tackle get in a fist fight during halftime. And blows were landed. Like, it got intense. But anyway, Odell Beckham changes everything. But that team, the Giants, their defense is great, but that offense is so awful. They have 0 running game, and they have basically just given up on the running game.
And the defense, like you said, is great. Although I have been surprised a little bit about how not so great they have been. Like, Matthew Stafford kind of moved the ball with ease at times.
And Matthew Stafford only threw the ball 21 times. How many times has that happened, like, in life? And they won. They just ran the ball the whole time, which is just it doesn't even make sense. But, hey, man, that's what they did.
Abdullah looked good.
Yeah, he did.
Got to give some credit where credit's due.
Now, the one thing that stinks with Abdullah is he came out during goal line touches, which was a little different. Now, Dwayne Washington kind of left a little bit hobbled, but Amir Abdullah is the guy to own here. Now, the problem is he got no targets in the passing game, and he came out during goal line. And so whenever he came out, I was screaming at my TV like, no, this is where you should use him. And they didn't do it. But anyway, Amir Abdullah is the guy to own there moving forward. And curse Eric Ebron for the rest of my life. I hate you forever.
Because he scored a touchdown this week?
Yeah, and that's who he's going to be. He's going to be touchdown dependent. 5 catches, 42 yards, which is solid in a touchdown. He had a great game. But he's not the guy you want moving forward.
Gotcha. So I got kind of a philosophical quandary for us to kind of dive into from a fantasy perspective. And that is this. That I think that the NFL landscape is changing. I think you're seeing how the injuries are impacting the Patriots. And I just think that there's other younger quarterbacks who are starting to step up. So things are shifting, and it's hard to predict where people are going to fall. So here's my question. How does the injuries and all of the different shifting of teams, how does this impact fantasy projection, and who can we trust for sure in terms of players you can depend on?
So if we just look at quarterback, right, this is where it's nuts. Could you off the top of your head, and maybe you've looked at this, and if you had cheat, that's fine. Who are the top 3 quarterbacks in fantasy scoring right now through 2 weeks?
I don't know scoring, but I can tell you right now, yards-wise, it is Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Carson Wentz, and Alex Smith.
Okay, so fantasy-wise, the number 1 quarterback so far is Alex Smith. The number 2 quarterback is Trevor Siemian. And number 3, your boy, Carson Wentz. And this happens all the time with quarterbacks. Now it'll level out. Trevor Siemian's not going to stay up top for that long. I just don't think he will. But he's played very, very well. He's got 6 touchdown passes. Like, he's the league leader
awesome.
for touchdown passes. But so here's the thing. What you need to do is you have to delete your history for big-time names. Guys like Brandon Marshall. Guys like Eddie Lacy. All these guys. You have to look at situations, who they're playing on the road and where, what the defensive strength is, and snap counts from previous weeks. We can already see different formations and different things happen, and you can look at it and say, oh my gosh, Bilal Powell is droppable in all formats. Whether or not how good he is, he's the best running back they have. It doesn't matter. He had the least running back snaps. He only had 7 snaps.
Man.
Like, they're moving away from him. So is he good enough to play in a lot of teams? Yes, if he was on the Giants, he'd be the best starter, and he'd probably be a top 20 fantasy asset. But the problem is this. The Giants are in a youth movement, and they're already moving away from him. So you have to look deeper. Box scores do not tell the story. Watch the game and figure out. And that's what people like us are here for. There are people, obviously, everybody can't watch every single game. But you need to look different. There's so many resources out there that you can use. Pro Football Reference, Pro Football Focus, getting into just different stats on the ESPN sites. You can learn some of this stuff. And so you have to look and see, man, who are they playing this week? Oh, man, it's a running back. They're playing against Baltimore. You've got to knock them down. I don't care who they are. Des Bryant's going against Patrick Peterson. Des Bryant sucks against elite-level corners. He has his entire career.
Yep.
So you just got to put that into the context.
Absolutely. Let's go through some of the waiver claims that are under 60% in leagues. I can't believe that Tariq Cohen is out there. And real quick, as we're talking about Tariq Cohen, do we hold on like with the DeMarco Murray Henry situation? Is it the same with Cohen and Howard, or is it different?
It's totally different because Cohen plays 2 positions.
Yeah.
Cohen is 2 different guys, and they'll put them both on the field at certain times. And it doesn't matter. Plus, Jordan Howard, man, he got out-snapped by Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen had more snaps, which is just crazy. And
again, I called that, and I really did call that 2 weeks ago before we started. I said, number one, Tariq Cohen, as good as Howard looks, he looks like he has a higher ceiling. And I think that he could potentially be better than Howard.
They're different players, and Howard is amazing. 1,300 yards rushing last year, and he didn't even start every game. The problem is Howard is hurt. He left the game with his arm in a sling. They're saying it's not that big of a deal, but if I had to pick who to own, I want Jordan Howard, okay, if we're looking at these. That's who I want. But Tariq Cohen was not a second-round pick in your fantasy draft. He was a waiver wire. Go get this guy. Every format, PPR, standard, it doesn't matter. 18 leagues, go get him. He needs to be on every single roster. He had 9 targets this week. 9 targets.
Right. That's ridiculous. Let's quickly kind of go. There's a lot of names here. So Chris Carson, maybe because he's behind a line that kind of sucks.
He's behind the worst line ever, and you never know what Seattle is trying to mimic what Belichick does in New England, where they keep everybody guessing on which running back they're using. The only thing that we can learn is they're not using Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy is going to be cut in the next 2 weeks. It's going to happen.
Yeah, they're garbage. Here's a guy who I'm surprised is on here. Chris Thompson, man. Seems like this guy gets so much usage with the Redskins, who hate to run the ball, but they like to pass to him.
And I like him a lot. The bad thing is they came out today and said, yeah, we're not looking to get him a lot more involved. We don't want him getting hurt. We like where he's at. And this guy is just explosive. 7 targets. He only had 3 catches for 29 yards, but he had 3 runs for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. The guy is, he's just killing it. Now, he's going to let you down a lot of weeks where he'll have 3 catches for 40 yards. But, as of right now, he's the number 4 scoring fantasy running back. He needs to be owned.
Who do you play, Chris Thompson or James White, if given the choice regularly?
This week, if Rex Burkhead is out and injured, I go James White. Every other week, I'm going Chris Thompson. So I stay away from New England running backs unless there is a tipped scale one way or the other. And with Rex Burkhead out, I want James White this week.
Yep. Last is Alvin Kamara. I mean, he's definitely on my bench, and he's good, man. But he's stuffed behind Ingram and Peterson though too.
No, he's not. He's out snapping both of them.
No. I know. I'm saying it's impacting his snaps.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's not a guy that you can't. I'm not going to put him as a starter because he's got somebody who's eating more than a third of his potential snaps.
No, I feel you. And he finished as the number 33 running back last week, which is a flex play. That's a running back 3, right? The top 36, you got 12 running backs you got 12 teams.
Right.
Top 12, that's RB1, top 24, RB2, 36, RB3, so on and so forth. He had 7 passing targets, 51 yards receiving off 3 catches. This guy, I'm telling you right now, he is going to be one of the rookie guys to own. If Adrian Peterson gets cut, which is a possibility, or traded, I don't think anybody wants him. But anyway, like I'm telling you right now, that guy is the guy to own. I would rather have Alvin Kamara than Mark Ingram in my league, which sounds crazy, but that's just how I feel.
He looks like he's going to be a monster for that team.
Yes, he does.
A very undeserving organization, making really stupid moves lately. J.J. Nelson for wide receiver, absolutely, he's got the upside.
And there's nobody to compete with him in targets. J.J. Nelson, he's the 3rd wide receiver in scoring right now, and the guy is just a touchdown machine. And so you got to go get him. You got to get him.
We're going to move along. We're just going to say some names, and we want to get through this a little bit quickly. But Cooper Kupp and with the Rams, Rashard Higgins with the Browns, which we touched on earlier. We talked about Bubba Watson with the tight end position for Baltimore. Go get that guy. And then here's a guy who we haven't talked about, Zack Miller. Tell us why to go grab him.
Zach, the targets are there, and man, with Jordan Howard out even more now, there's nobody to throw the ball to. You got Tariq Cohen, and you got this guy, Zack Miller. He had 9 targets, and he was okay last week. He ended up as the tight end 20, but his target share is going to go through the roof. He's just a safe play. He's safe. He's free. So definitely worth the ad.
Absolutely. And then in the QB section, I'll touch on my boy Carson Wentz. Here's why I'll tell you that, and I have him in my bench in 2 leagues. Here's why to get Carson Wentz. It's not just this week. He has a tough matchup this week with the Giants. So I'm not starting him. I predict under 25 fantasy points. But then he has a slew of 5 games. One of them is the Cardinals, but I actually still like him against the Cardinals. He's got the Chargers. I like his fantasy production moving forward, at least for the next 4 to 5 weeks. And then you've got Trevor Siemian. And here's the deal. If it looks this good, and he's able to make the decisions the way that he's making them, and he's not panicking, and he's using his weapons well, what's to stop him? And C.J. Anderson's playing well for this guy.
Everybody on that whole team is balling out. And I'm looking at Trevor Siemian right now. So out of the 32 top passing secondaries, the toughest team that he goes against is Buffalo, and that's this week, and they're ranked 24th. He plays against the 7th easiest, 5th, 6th, 2nd, 7th, 8th, 3rd, and 6th easiest pass defenses in the NFL. The easiest schedule. He doesn't have one bottom 10 matchup. Like, the guy has an easy schedule the entire time.
Yeah, and again, that team is got some hype behind them. I like them at home, even against teams that are a bit better than them, because just that home element, it's very important for them. Here's on the who to drop list. We said it earlier, but let's go through it. Eddie Lacy, Adrian Peterson, Bilal Powell.
Bilal Powell, gone. Get rid of him.
Gone. Wide receiver, Brandon Marshall. Just go to the Showtime. Go do your Showtime show. Enjoy retirement.
And he's one of my favorite players. It's just not there. Just not there.
Right. Kenny Britt, and unfortunately, this one hurts to say, but Mike Wallace.
Yeah, I thought he was a steal in drafts, but he's just not getting the ball. They're not throwing it very much there. It's crazy. The team that has thrown the ball 3 years in a row the most is, guess who? The Ravens. Now they're last. They have the least amount of pass attempts. They have finally learned Joe Flacco is not going to win us a lot of games. We need to run the ball. And they're winning with great defense and running Javarius Allen. Who would have guessed?
Yeah. So a quick reminder that if you would like to ask us any questions, have us dissect any trades or any specifics about your team, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter. John, would you share your Twitter?
Yeah, it's JL_Chapman, JL_CHAPMAN.
And I am at host Chuck B. And again, we're just here to help. We're having fun. We're watching all the games. We're analyzing this stuff, trying to give you the leg up. Unfortunately, it's hurting us in our own fantasy teams as people who
it's so bad.
We compete against. They know our plays.
I've got people that listen to this podcast and they go put in their waiver wire claims ahead of me, that's okay though. That's all right.
Yeah, you're welcome, everyone in my family. All right, well, this has been episode 13, and we're happy to be here.
Yes. Yeah.
That was the worst exit ever.
I think it was the best exit ever, and I'm not editing this at all. This is staying put. Yes. Fantasy football, that's what we do. You guys take care. Have a good one.
Happy to be here.
Peace.